When was the last time you did something for the first time? Life's an adventure. Take some risks.
Today, we're going to be having a chat about why you need to take the risk of starting your first home DIY project and why you need to stop talking about it and just do it already. So one of our favorite quotes is, "You have to risk going too far to discover just how far you can really go." And last year we picked a word of the year, so we thought we'd keep with the tradition this year on our blog and pick another word that rounded out what we really wanted to do in 2012.
Yeah, and the word we picked was risk.
It's not really a pretty word, right? It's kind of like, usually it's like dream or simplify, something really pretty. Risk isn't necessarily the prettiest word for New Year's resolution.
Right.
But I love the meaning.
Yeah, and I think risk applying to DIY, for example, or home remodeling, it really speaks to all the failures that you have to have in order to get what you want. So, for example, this blue wall behind us, it's probably 3 inches thicker with blue paint because for some reason we had to go 4 or 5 coats or different shades before we got the one that Shelly wanted.
Because it wasn't like the perfect gray blue.
Right.
It was just a little bit off. But it was worth it because now we love our blue painted wall. And I think that speaks volumes about taking risks, right?
I guess.
Yeah. So I definitely think that it's important to take risks. And within that subject, we kind of want to touch on the fact of a lot of emails we get from people which are, I really want to change my style and I love some of the things in your home, but I just don't know where to start and I don't think I can do it. Okay, well, she believed she could, so she did. So the only person holding you back is yourself. And I know that kind of sounds cliche, but it's true. And I think that people don't take the risk because they're scared they're going to fail. And the worst thing that happens when you fail is that it sucks and you hate it, or you succeed and you love it. And there's only 2 outcomes, which is the best part to risk. And so I think that having that knowledge and just looking at it like that instead of thinking of all the things that can go wrong is the best way to start something.
All right, so I think I'm going to get a little bit a relationship counselor on you guys here. But I think communication is really important when you're taking risks.
For sure.
We definitely argue about what look we're going for. And my goal is to not come home to a house with pink walls and lace everywhere.
Right.
I live with 4 women, so I've got to be careful and voice my opinion. So, it doesn't start affecting the house I live in. I don't want it to be a dollhouse, pretty much.
And I think, not that that's necessarily my style, but I definitely tend to go more feminine with my design. So having Kaysen's input was really a huge part of how our design came together because he loved a modern look and I loved more of a comfortable kind of cottagey look. But when we put those things together and compromised, it turned out to be a really awesome new style that we loved. And that being said, with doing an entire style shift in your house, it is not easy. And I think a lot of people have blogs or websites where they just have this house and they just keep doing projects and it looks great and they've kind of always started from having this pretty house. Well, when we show our before pictures, people are like, "Oh my gosh, you moved into that house like that?" I'm like, "Oh no, we built it and we did that." So I'm like, this is what we did. We wanted this red wall with black glaze on it and we wanted all that Tuscan color. And not that it's a bad thing, but we just didn't know what else to do because it was kind of what was going on with all the model homes and the things during that time. So when we moved back from Arizona, like we were talking about in our first episode, we wanted to try something different and we wanted to step outside the box. And at that point, we didn't really even know what we wanted. We just knew we wanted something different because what we had didn't really reflect our family. So we started pulling inspiration, right?
Yeah.
So this was before Pinterest days, which I know sounds like scary, but we really did pull from most random things. We had magazines and we had just things on the internet. We did start reading blogs at this point, and starting to get home blogs, get ideas. We even had a paint chip with a picture on the back just of what the paint color looks like. And it was a cute room. So we kept the paint chip, and just silly little things like that. But whenever Kaysen would find something that he loved, or I would find something that I liked, we'd come together and kind of think, okay, how can we work together to make this entire look come together?
Yeah, and playing counselor again. I think especially for men, asking for advice is going to be one of the biggest things that you can do, and it is risky. You might have a neighbor that's an electrician or a plumber, and it's scary to go ask someone, for help for those things. But once you get it, you're able to help other people as well. So I think one of the biggest things that you can do is ask questions, get advice from people. That's going to be one of your best resources.
For sure. And kind of like you were saying, I think just doing something. These emails that I get, where should I start? What's the best thing to do? First, I always say paint. Paint changes everything. I think it can change an entire room. And when we painted the blue was the first color we ever painted. And I remember Kason stepped back and he was like, what's going on? This looks like a nursery. He wasn't too sure of it, but we had to start somewhere, And then we did 5 different blues and found the perfect one. But I think that we had to start somewhere, and you have to just take it one space at a time. And that's why we love that tagline, because it doesn't have to be an entire house you're painting. It could be a nook. It could be decorating a shelf exactly how you wish your whole house looked. It could be taking a chair and setting it in a corner with a perfect little table. Whatever makes you feel accomplished and happy is going to inspire you to do the rest of your home in that same style. And it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, we've been working on this for 2 years, and we're still not done. We have an entire basement to make over. Are you so excited?
I'm thrilled.
Okay. And it's going to be so fun. And you learn along the way, and you get to do all these projects together. And even though you have arguments and sometimes you disagree, it's all part of the journey of DIYing. And I think that's what makes it so great. It's not just about making a pretty home. It's about stepping back and realizing that what you've done is something that you did, and you're 1,000 times more proud of it when you can do it versus just hiring it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So today we are actually having a tool tip from the Handy Dad, and he is going to show you how to patch holes in a small hole in a wall. And I think the number one thing that people are scared to do with their homes is hang pictures or actually put something up on a wall. But it's also the number one thing that makes your house feel super homey. So we'll head over there so you can do that tip.
Hi DIYers, it's Paul, also known as Handy Dad. Have you ever rented an apartment or bought a house, and when you went in and you looked at it, it looked pretty doggone good? And then you went back after they took the pictures down and took all the furniture out, and the walls looked like they'd been strafed with a machine gun? Well, today's tip is about how to patch holes in a wall. Very simple. Usually, picture is hung by a nail, and that will leave a small hole in the wall. Sometimes bigger fasteners are used on the wall, which will create bigger holes. But today we're going to talk about fixing just a simple nail hole in a wall. First thing you need is some filler. This is a lightweight Fast and Final spackling. And you also need a putty knife. This happens to be one of my favorite 5-in-1 tools, and this works great for this project. You scoop a little bit of the filler out, and you pack it into the hole and fill it up as much as you can. Scrape the excess off back into your tub, and then you want to go back with the flat part of your knife and scrape off all the excess and put it back in. You'll then wait for this to dry. This particular product doesn't take very long to dry. It's about 10 to 15 minutes. You'll then go back with a fine sandpaper, and you'll lightly sand completely around the patch. If you don't remove the excess spackling from the patch, if you're using any kind of a paint with a sheen on it, it will reflect the light a little bit differently, and you'll be able to tell, even though the wall is flat, you'll be able to tell that you've patched a hole. You can buy all of these products in a home improvement store or even at places like Target and Walmart, very inexpensively. You'll have to go back afterwards and touch up that part of the wall. If you have some extra paint, you can just touch it up, or if necessary, you can repaint the whole wall and you won't even see that there was a hole there. This is a perfect example of having the right tool for the right job makes the job easier, makes the job fun, and you'll love the results.